hear me? Good? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carla Sangiovanni, and it's an honor to participate in this Climate Justice panel today. I would like to start by paying my respect to traditional owners of the land where QT stands, and I extend my respect to traditional owners of the land in Brazil, my home country. My presentation today is about COP30 negotiations in Brazil, carbon markets and climate justice. Here I have an overview of my presentation. I will start with some key concepts that are important for my talk, such as COP, Paris Agreement, and this is carbon markets. With these concepts in mind, I aim to explore how Brazil at COP30 is leading this plan to globally integrate carbon markets through the Open Coalition. More specifically, I aim to show how Brazil is leading this international discussion on compliance, carbon market, and climate justice. But I also aim to explore the domestic contradictions to such position due to recent approval of fossil fuel projects in Brazil in the Amazon region. At the end of this presentation, I will talk about challenges in relation to the Open Coalition plan and opportunities to deal with the Open Coalition and climate justice issues in future COPs. As a Brazilian lawyer and legal researcher, I approach this topic from a multidisciplinary lens, one that connects law, economics, and the ground realities of climate policy. So here I have some key concepts that are important for my talk. First, climate change is a global challenge that requires countries' collective action. The COP, or the Conference of the Parties, is the United Nations annual climate summit where countries negotiate global climate action. Every year at the Conference of the Parties, these countries come together to assess progress and agree on next collective steps. The Paris Agreement adopted at COP21 in 2015 is the legal foundation for these efforts. Through the Paris Agreement, the parties commit to keep global warming below 2 degrees Celsius, ideally 1.5 degrees Celsius. And under the Paris Agreement, every 5 years, countries must submit the nationally determined contributions, NDCs, which are the basically the intentions of the country to reduce national carbon emissions and adapt to the plan, adapt to the impacts of climate change. These plans guide domestic climate policy and send long-term signals to business and investors, which are essential for a stable and fair transition. In this context, carbon markets are like trading systems for pollution. Countries, companies, and communities can buy and sell carbon credits. At a global level, these carbon markets would help countries meet the NDC's goals by allowing those who reduce more emissions than needed to sell the extra credits. In fact, most countries now say they plan to use carbon markets to help their climate targets. So ideally, carbon markets aren't just about trading. They're about cooperation, ambition, in making climate action work for everyone. The COP30 is happening right now in Brazil, in Belém, in Pará State in Brazil. It started last week on the 10th November in this area that is considered the heart of the Amazon forest. It has been called the COP of implementation because the rules and framework of the Paris Agreement has been already worked out. Now would be about following these rules in order to avoid a global catastrophe. Just before proceeding, a quick disclaimer that COP30 is still in progress. So as of today, 21 November, some negotiations are still ongoing. There is no final outcome of the COP. This presentation reflects the progress until mid-November, but I will make some comments at the end of the presentation. So, as host of COP30, Brazil has a strategic platform to lead. Brazil's proposal of an open coalition aims to support the Paris Agreement by accelerating decarbonization through international cooperation. So here I have an overview of what means the Open Coalition proposal. The Open Coalition proposal seeks to link carbon markets across countries. Right now, countries use different schemes to different systems to price carbon, like taxes or trading schemes. The Open Coalition brings countries together to uniform these systems. The goal is to create shared rules for measuring, reporting, and trading emissions. This would make carbon markets more transparent, reliable, predictable. A key feature of this plan is voluntary participation, and all countries are free to take part without compromising their sovereignty. The Open Coalition Plan, it builds on the Brazilian Ecological Transformation Plan, which is the Brazil's national strategy to grow the economy while protecting nature and society. This strategy seeks to use Brazil's natural strengths like clean energy and forest and biodiversity to create jobs, boost innovation, and build a fair and greener future. The Open Coalition also builds on Brazil's new emission trading law, which created our national emissions trading system. This legislation is aligned with Brazil's NDC's goals under the Paris Agreement and gives legal certainty to market actors, offering a roadmap for carbon pricing. Last Saturday, during the COP30, high-level leaders from several countries gathered together to advance discussions on the Open Coalition. As COP30 negotiations unfold, over 18 countries are already on board, including Brazil, China, the European Union, and Canada. The Open Coalition is a work in progress, and by working together, countries can collaborate in defining best practices to ensure effective carbon pricing, align carbon markets with principles established under the Paris Agreement, and apply these standards into the design of domestic carbon markets. The Open Coalition also reinforces the roles of finance ministries in leading climate and economic integration by not just budgeting, but also shaping the domestic rules and incentives that drive decarbonization. That is where law, economics, and public policy converge. The Open Coalition proposal also aims to advance climate-just mechanisms that take into consideration the asymmetries across countries, including differences in emissions, economic size, and development needs. To achieve that, the Open Coalition proposal seeks to implement the idea of revenue recycling, which means the redistribution of a portion of carbon market revenues among member countries. Other climate-just mechanisms include the promotion of inclusive standards that prioritizes low-carbon products, which can create job and competitive advantages. Overall, we can say that the Open Coalition is a new global effort led by Brazil to improve how carbon markets work, and with that enhance market liquidity, transparency, trust, and accountability across borders. Brazil sees this plan as a key legacy for COP30, a step toward a fair and more efficient global system for cutting emissions. Brazil's representatives claim that the essence of the coalition could help increase climate action and turn carbon markets into a reliable source of public revenue. During the COP30 negotiations, the Ministry of Finance in Brazil, represented by Deputy Executive Secretary Rafael Dubos, said, and I will quote him, "We have been discussing how to transition away from fossil fuels in a structured, orderly, and equitable manner. A regulated carbon market is one of the essential pathways to achieve this goal." End of the quote. And this is exactly where the contradictions emerge. While I acknowledge Brazil's position in leading the discussion towards the Open Coalition on compliance carbon market, I must also note that this leadership has contradictions. In October 2015, the environmental agency at federal level in Brazil, IBAMA, issued an environmental license allowing Petrobras, the Brazilian oil company, to start exploration oil drilling in the equatorial margin. this is a sensitive marine region near the Amazon River mouth. This area is rich in biodiversity and home to a vulnerable coastal and indigenous communities. This environmental license follows years of regulatory tension between the Brazilian federal agents, the oil company, environmentalists, and traditional communities in Brazil, because this oil exploration project, even the research for the oil, raises serious environmental and social concerns. From a political perspective that aims to promote the national interest, the Brazilian federal government argues that such exploration work is necessary to assess the potential of the area for the oil production, around 30 billion barrels of oil. The government justifies that in the future, the oil exploration in this area can guarantee the fulfillment of Brazil's energy demand and strengthen Brazil's sovereignty by avoiding dependence on other countries. The federal government also says that the resources obtained from the oil exploration in this area can finance investments in biofuels and renewable energy, such as wind power, driving the transition to a greener economy. They also claim that the project has the potential to generate thousands of jobs and boost economic development in the far north of Brazil. The government also says that the exploration will be carried out with modern technology and in accordance with standards of safety and environmental care. Opponents of such exploration activity highlight the significant environmental risks because of the proximity to the Amazon River system and the potential impacts on extremely sensitive ecosystem. Communities in the Amapá state and nearby coastal areas face real risks: oil spills, biodiversity loss, undue access to protected areas and indigenous territories. Impacted communities and indigenous groups say they were excluded from decision-making in the granting process of this environmental license. They also raise concerns around the exploration of fossil fuels because these groups are already severely affected by the effects of climate change, such as recent severe droughts in the Amazon River. The environmentalists also say that Amazon region is very close to the point of no return and there is no justification for any new oil exploration. The opponents also highlight contradictions with climate goals. They argue that the exploration of new fossil fuel reserves goes against Brazil's efforts to combat climate change, and there should be a greater focus on renewable energies. We can say that while Brazil's international message promotes equity and cooperation, the domestic actions are going against these principles. The situation of expansion of fossil fuels at home is an environmental regression. It jeopardizes Brazil's climate leadership, trust and credibility, and invites us to a deeper conversation about policy coherence. Environmental leadership must be ethical, inclusive, and coherent. Brazil's cases are reminded that climate justice cannot be separated from domestic decisions. While Brazil's international leadership must be acknowledged, it's also true that domestic decisions must be in line with this international position. Above all, a just transition must include affected communities. It is necessary proper consultation and understanding of their perceptions of the social and environmental risks. Climate justice requires these voices to be heard and taken into consideration in the decision-making process of energy transition. Here, going now to the final part of the presentation, there are of course, challenges in the implementation of the Open Coalition Plan. These challenges will need to be considered by the involved countries that accept to take part in the plan, in the coalition. So how do we ensure transparency and accountability across jurisdictions? What safeguards prevent greenwashing or market manipulation? How do we support low and middle income countries to participate meaningfully? These are ethical questions for further reflection, and they indicate that carbon markets can serve justice, but it can also deepen inequality. Here, just there are some final last-minute changes because yesterday Australia dropped the bid to host the COP31, would be here, but now it's going to be in Turkey. But Australia and Turkey, they decided to distribute strategic roles between the two countries. Turkey will be the host of the conference and assume formal presidency of COP31, becoming responsible for institution and political management of the event. But Australia will lead the technical negotiations. It will coordinate preparatory discussions, organize working groups, and conduct official talks throughout the conference. And also they have decided that a pre-COP event will be held in a Pacific country. These outcomes means that Australia will, and all the nations in the Pacific will have a position in setting the agenda for the climate change discussion. So Australia could use the opportunity of the COP to build on the Brazil Open Coalition and carbon pricing that reflect regional realities, amplify Australia and Pacific nations' leadership in climate governance, also strengthen South-South cooperation between Latin America and the Pacific. Brazil's proposal is a global invitation, and now Australia as a strategic position for COP31 has the opportunity to carry it forward with integrity and ambition. So in closing, Brazil's Open Coalition offers a pragmatic approach to carbon market integration. It shows how carbon pricing can be adopted at a global level, can be used as a tool for justice that can reduce emissions while addressing structural inequalities. But for this vision to hold, it's also true that Brazil, like all countries, must align its domestic policies and actions with international commitments under the Paris Agreement. As we look ahead COP31, there is a great opportunity to expand the debate and ensure that climate leadership is coherent, inclusive, and just. Above all, a just energy transition means listening to all voices and have them taken into consideration, especially those most affected by carbon emissions and climate change. That is how we can build a future that is clean, fair, and shared by all. That's it. Thank you.